All right, my name's Kirk Allen. I'm with Edgar County Watchdogs. Just like to get your perspective as to what happened. If you could share to the public what was granted and what was denied today.
We raised three arguments why the court should grant a temporary restraining order, finding that the governor's executive order doesn't apply as to the business or to the individual. We argued that the governor's proclamation number 3 doesn't meet the definition of a disaster. We argued that the 30-day limitation period should apply, and the governor's gamesmanship shouldn't be allowed to continue that proclamations for emergency powers into the perpetuity. And we also argued that regardless of that, that the supreme power over closing businesses and restricting people goes with the Department of Health, and it's not with the Emergency Management Agency Act given to the governor, or is it to the Constitution. And the judge agreed with two of those. He didn't agree with my client as to the definition of disaster, but he agreed that the 30 days being used in serial proclamations is improper, and he agreed that the power lies with the Department of Health and not with the governor by constitutional authority or by the Emergency Management Agency Act. To that extent, he granted my client relief. The judge wants a little bit more information from us to support that this cause can cover more than just my client, and it can affect and benefit every citizen and every business. We're going to work on that information and get that to the judge. He wants a little bit more, so we're going to be happy to do that and continue to work to try to get every citizen in this state and every business freed from having to abide by this executive order. That's our goal, and that's what we're trying to do.
One of the comments made from the judge drew gasp of air from pretty much everybody in the courtroom. The governor's position through his legal counsel is that he has the authority to proclaim a disaster until all are vaccinated. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, one, I believe in the law, and I know of no authority that allows the executive branch to wield any power that he's been wielding for the last 2 months, let alone to get people vaccinated. So I can tell you that to the extent any executive, regardless of the current governor or not, they would try to do that, I'll be there to debate that with them.
Thank you. And where does this case go from here after today's position? Since this is a temporary restraining order, what's the next move?
Well, temporary restraining order typically would be good for 30 days, and we would come back on a hearing on the merits of a preliminary injunction or moreover a permanent injunction. But I highly suspect that the governor's counsel, from what they said, they'll want to take an appeal up to the 5th appellate. And if their actions have been consistent, they may try to take it out of their hands and take it directly to the Supreme Court. And that's fine. Whatever they want to do is fine with me. We'll be ready to take that on at whatever level they want.
All right. And in regards to Darren Bailey's case, it was postponed because it's been taken to the federal court. Have we heard anything as to when the federal court will rule on your motion to bring it back to Clay County?
Well, they filed to remand yesterday, trying to say that Mr. Bailey raised federal issues in his case, and he did not, in our opinion. We immediately filed an objection. There's a status hearing, as I understand it, talking from one of the attorneys in our firm that handles a lot of our federal stuff, and he said it's set for status on Tuesday, I believe. And it appears when we were sitting in the courtroom there that the governor's office may have filed some kind of reply to our objection. And so I haven't seen that yet, and I'll be looking at that and getting it to anyone that asks to look at it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Do you have a copy of the order?
I have to go in and get it, actually.
Okay.
I might have some questions.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Who?
I'll let him go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
He's
Well,
got.
you can go ahead because this is going to take me Okay.
What do you got, sir?
I heard Maker again.
Yes, sir. Now, I remember. Good name. What can I do for you?
Okay. Let me get this thing
Oh, wait a minute.
working.
Are you recording?
Okay. If it works with you, I can jump in. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Just, Tom, I just wanted to check on, now, the judge says he denied TROs, correct? Is that
No, he granted the temporary restraining order to my client and to
Okay.
his business.
Okay, I got a little mixed up. He said he denied.
He didn't. We were asking for a temporary restraining order to be issued for 3 independent reasons.
Okay.
Okay, and to one of those 3 reasons he did not agree, but to 2 of the 3 that he
Oh,
did.
okay. So, those was on count 2?
Count 2 and count 3, he
Okay.
found in favor of my client that there's a likelihood of success on the merits on both of those 2
Okay.
issues.
And these would each cover 30 days, or just one 30-day period?
One of them covers a 30-day period, that's count 2. The other one covers what I think is one of the most important issues, is regardless of these proclamations and these disasters, does the executive, through constitutional power or through any delegated statutory power, do they wield the authority over our people to control their movements and activities or to close their businesses? And the judge said today there's a likelihood of success in the merits that does not lie.
Okay. Now, regarding his judge's statement regarding bringing more evidence, was he referring to the first count, or was
No, he was not. What the judge is asking me to provide him some additional support is that before he will enter a ruling saying that this order of his will cover every citizen in the state or every business in the state, he wants me to give him a little bit more authority on what's called a representative action. So to that extent, we will put that together for him and get that to him. And at the same time, we'll keep fighting for the rest of the businesses that
and
we're
you
fighting.
explained what the difference between a representative action and class action?
Yeah, there's a difference between
Yeah.
class action and representative action. I believe this is a perfect representative action. I appreciate the judge wanting a little more information on that, and we will get that to him timely.
Were you surprised that he wanted more information on it because he's been so outspoken against the governor's wielding of how he's wielding his power?
No, I'm not. I've not spent a lot of time in front of Judge McHaney, but I can tell you he's very thorough in his analysis. And I've been on both sides of rulings from him, to where when he rules, and he always has reason in the way he does things. And so I thought it was prudent of him to ask for more information in that regard. I respect that request, and I will get it to him.
Are you going to be bringing up more evidence in the continuation of this case, or could you see it in many of the other businesses that you're representing in their case as well?
That's a good question. I would suggest both.
So you're going to file a follow-up motion then, or with bringing in that information, or how are you going to proceed on that?
Well, again, if it goes up on appeal, that issue may be on hold, at least in this case. But in this case, if I'm, again, assuming that it's off of an appeal, I will provide supplemental authority to the judge to satisfy his request. And then going forward with other measures that we're trying to do to help people, I'll take into account what Judge McHaney had raised, and I'll make sure to lay that out for people to satisfy them next time.
Did Darren's case roll into this case then because of
It won't, I don't believe, because here's the precarious situation about where we find ourselves. We find ourselves, based on this executive order, that we have over 12 million individual potential plaintiffs as citizens, and we have however many businesses we have in our state. Arguably, those are individual plaintiffs as well. So, that's an interesting situation we find ourselves in, but that's where the
But
executive
is
order
that
takes
also
us.
complicated because it's going to federal court, and which federal court district is it going to?
Well, again, federal court, I'm trying to there's separate issues. People can file a cause of action in federal court. Some people can have a state court case, and the defendants or the plaintiffs can try to argue that it should be in the federal court. I don't believe that Mr. Bailey's case should be in the federal court, but we'll just have to address that as it comes.
Which court, if it does go fully in the federal court, which district will that be?
It's in the Southern District of Illinois.
Okay, it'll be Mountain, which...
It'll be in Benton probably, or East St.
Okay.
Louis, I
Okay.
suspect.
I
I haven't looked. I haven't
know
looked yet.
there's two.
Yeah.
So, okay. And any reaction to what the judge said about his assessment of the situation in Illinois?
I agree with everything he just said 100%. If I didn't agree with that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I've spent 1,000 hours in the last 2 months probably working on this for the very reasons that the judge said. That's what I believe. That's what my clients believe. And that doesn't mean we don't take this we don't take it lightly. We take it seriously. But there's got to be a balance. And the judge hit it nail on the head when he says you can't have the executive branch controlling people like this. Law doesn't allow it, in my opinion, and my clients, and the judge agreed with us today.
So I'm sorry to jump in, I just want to be crystal clear. This really only applies to your client.
His business and him individually.
Yeah, that's right. No
Yeah,
one else.
no one else. And the judge is asking for me to provide more information, and he may change that decision in the very near future. But and I will get that information. But as of today, correct.